sorry.
No, you're good. It's
you
already
make- no,
going.
You're good to go.
Yeah. Just so whenever you're ready. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize we were recording right now.
No, you're good. This is just to get you
All right.
comfortable.
So
in the zone.
Absolutely no, in the zone. All right. So 1, 2, 3. Welcome to another episode of Bringing Down the Grindhouse. How's it going, John?
It's going well.
I fucked up that entire thing.
What, you want to do it again?
I want to do it one more time because I'm.
You're fine. We can do another take.
We can do another take.
Yeah.
We have all of this infinite.
Yeah,
We have infinite tape.
Exactly.
We are out of the
Take
the
two.
age.
I'm not paying for film. When you had to.
Actually,
have a reel.
these could be good blooper tracks. No one wanted to go to sleep
I just
tonight,
like
right?
that because you were like, I don't like that.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
not
it's
at all.
not
Because
like
I
any-
forgot about a show where we talk about
It's
blog.
not like any of us have any moving to do or anything like that.
Oh no!
Oh, dang.
No! Oh shit! Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Welcome to another episode of Bringing Down the Grindhouse, the show where we talk about slasher films. How's it going, John?
It's going well. I was actually really excited for this one. I watched the movies that we're going to talk about today just last night. But before we get into some of those, I'm one of your hosts. My name is Jonathan. You just heard the voice of Mitch, my other co-host. And today we're actually missing one of our other co-hosts, so we brought on a guest. Our guest tonight is Isaac. Isaac, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you, John.
I really appreciate you coming on to talk with us because I know it's a little bit hard to get people sort of last minute. But your game, you came, you showed up, you've got beer.
Yeah.
So
no,
you're
it sounded like a good time, and I'm a big fan of the horror movies, and obviously good friends with Mitch, and I know you as well, so
Oh, yeah.
thought it would be a good idea. It could be a good time.
The
Fun.
movies that we decided on, though, we want to talk about Black Christmas, the original, the one that came out in 1974, and also The Final Girls, not to be confused with Final Girl, which is a film we'll talk about. We'll talk about it.
Would have to explain that later,
Right.
because I'm still a little upset about it.
I'm in
to be
trouble.
honest.
Well,
In a lot of trouble.
so what happened is I told them which movie it was that we were gonna watch, and then Mitch went and found The Final Girl, which is an awful movie, and they watched it twice before they watched The Final Girls. How did that happen? How did you mess that up?
Well, we were in the chat, and we're discussing all the movies we're going to watch over the next few weeks and how
Right.
we're going to set everything up. And so I remember distinctly in this, wall of texts that we had that there was Final and Girl involved in it. And so I just thought, all right, Final Girl is what we're doing, I guess, is the movie. So, okay, fine. And then Black Christmas, I've seen a minor amount of
Great
and whatnot
movie.
already. Yeah, great movie. Awesome.
movie.
So good. But yes, and so I ended up watching Final Girl at home. I rented it. I paid money for this.
How much did you pay, Mitch?
$2.99.
Wait, who's offering The Final Girl for $2.99?
Google Play. You can rent it.
Oh, they did you dirty with that one.
It's really dirty, dude.
I didn't even know you could still rent films like that. How does that work? It's like an online service?
Oh, basically what happens is if you go on Google Play,
Okay.
you pay a certain amount for a rent the movie, or you can also buy it and then it keeps it on your Google account that you have.
Is this like separate from like Google Play Music?
No, it's not. It's the same thing.
Why have I not seen this? I want to go look
It's
at it.
pretty cool. You
Yeah.
can. There's a movie section.
Well, see, okay. Well, I'm not going to say it out loud. I obtain my movies by other methods. But what I'm trying to say is I wouldn't ever rent anything unless I could magically go back to Blockbuster.
I mean, sometimes you don't have to, and hey, I mean,
Well, to get us back, to
do
explain
what you
to
need
you.
to do. Do what you need to do, I say.
Yeah, absolutely. I did it just because I have I'm familiar with the road that you may be traveling down, or the high seas you may be traveling down. And so I've sort of gone away from that just a little bit out of convenience. And honestly, I'm
Yeah.
okay at paying $3 for a movie that I'm only going to watch like once or whatever it is.
For some reason, I'm still not.
I feel-
I'm mad as hell when I have to rent things.
I feel that happens
Yeah.
a lot with age. You just kind of get tired of doing. You get tired of the search. You know what I mean? I don't want to get on there and go through all these links and maybe put things at risk because those things are expensive now. Your parents aren't going to pay for them. You're going to pay for them now. You're going to fix your computer.
I'm still trying to figure that out. Why do DVDs cost like $30 now?
I don't know.
Like I get that they have
Regular
special
DVDs?
yeah, like they have special edition features usually, or like
Or
it's
Blu-rays and
Blu-ray.
stuff.
Yeah, it's a Blu-ray. You know what? I think you're right. I think it's just the Blu-rays.
Because I'm pretty sure DVDs are kind of cheap, but I don't know. I don't really go and check out the DVD section at the store ever.
I think we've gotten to the point where all of us can agree we're mostly digital now.
Right.
We're mostly there.
I mean,
except
but
for like
it's funny to see it though. It's still there in like it's
Oh,
like in
yeah.
a cage. It's just a bunch of DVDs just thrown in there.
Well, if you go to like Walmart, you can find those bins that have like all of the movies that have been sort of cast into this dark zone of movies people are never going to watch
It's
again.
kind of sad. It just,
It's where you go to die, a Walmart bin.
I mean, just think about it. Imagine being put on display,
Right.
like being put on the front shelf. You're like, oh hey, we have this thing. It's new. Come get it, dude. And now you're this thing that gets thrown into a cage. And you're just mixed with all these other things that are totally different from you because you have like horror with comedy with everything. It's all $5. It doesn't matter what it is. It's all $5.
All these movies don't matter anymore.
No.
This is the movies that don't matter anymore bin.
Well, it's either that or it's movies that have gotten forgotten by generations because
There
they're so
used to
old.
be a class system. There used to be the cheap movies and the expensive movies. Now they're all just cheap.
Wait, you just
Yes,
went into
they're
a
all
whole
just
nother
cheap
piece of
movies.
it. What do you mean a class system? Like there was a certain way they
Yeah,
arranged the movies?
there was the new DVDs, and then
Okay.
there was the DVDs that were like for $5,
Yeah.
and then there was some DVDs that were like for $10.
Okay.
Well,
You know,
Isaac. So I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like Big Daddy at one point was a
Yeah.
high class
Big
movie. It was
Daddy
an
at one
upper
point
class
was
movie,
$30,
and now it is now for poor people.
now
you
it's
say so.
99 cents at Walmart,
Apparently, it is now for poor
and
people.
it's touching Terminator 2.
Yeah.
And that's 99 cents.
That
now
upsets me.
at Walmart.
Yeah. If you go to certain parts of Walmart, they have movies that haven't moved from that same shelf spot in years, and
I
you're wondering
remember
why
my
it's still
uncle
there.
buying Terminator 2 on DVD because
Okay.
that was when it came out.
Yeah.
DVD, like a titanium case,
Oh hell yeah.
like
like special
legendary
edition?
edition.
Yes.
It was like
Yes.
$100.
Oh fuck.
You can find that for like
That
50
sounds
cents
like,
at a swap meet.
right.
right
You know
now.
what? That sounds like something Best Buy would do to you, where they're like, "Oh yeah, this is special edition. There's only like 100 made, and it's like $300." And people would buy it because it has like the Terminator head inside. But then you go online and you find out it's like $80 on Amazon.
And then there's a bunch of stuff that's not even on Blu-ray, but there's DVDs that you got to buy
Yeah,
the DVD of
that's
it. And you
fair.
gotta find it. It's terrible.
Do you guys remember when Blu-ray was up against, what was it, high definition? So it was that red case versus
Yeah.
the blue.
I remember the high def. They still have high def, don't they?
Yeah. Well, no, you have to
it's
like
4K now.
you can go to like
I think
old
it's 4K.
yeah, 4K is the new one. And now if you want to go find the high definition ones, you got to go to like an old store that still sells like VHS and shit like that, and
or
they'll
go
have
to
them
a
stacked
swap-
up.
I mean, I've had the best luck at swap meets for finding DVDs.
Well,
'Cause
which
there's
swap
always
meets are you talking about?
I go to the Oceanside one.
The one that's in the drive-in theater,
The one
or
that's
the
in the drive-in
abandoned
theater.
one now? That's the saddest thing.
It still goes.
No, I'm sad about the drive-in theater closing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they took them all
Even
down.
though that's
yeah,
an
they
amazing
took them
one.
all down. Yeah. I guess that spot was really like kind of sketchy for a while. So they
I mean,
they
it
might have
was-
just
yeah.
had something to do with that just to make it look like a lot.
This is like the Valley in Oceanside.
Yeah,
The
I'm
drive-in
actually gonna
theater,
move right by there. I'm gonna move really close to there. So
the drive-in
I'm
theater
gonna be
structure
walking
is
to the
just
swap meet a lot.
separated
awesome.
like normal society from degeneracy. All the bad shit's happening on the other side.
Well, that area is interesting because if you go up to the top of like one of the sides and you look in, it looks a little like beat up, post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Got like this old ass screen
Oh,
that's
yeah.
like not used anymore.
There's this there's a frame that was like built at one point
Yeah.
around the perimeter that you can tell it's still there, but it's all broken. Like it's this rebar and like a square, like a square of some
Whoa.
kind of structure that was there before.
Have you guys ever been to Bombay Beach?
No.
You ever been? Okay.
Where's
so,
that at?
All right. So Bombay Beach it's near like on the way to Julian.
Okay.
I'm trying to Ramona. It's like around Ramona, also like
Is
past
it by
Ramona a lot.
like this? Like what's that lake?
I
That's
always
there.
forget the lake that's by that place.
It's a big one, and it
Yeah.
starts with an H. I know it starts with an H or something like that. It's like Hutchison or something like that, or like I don't remember what it is.
I'm not quite sure of the lake, but so
But
I
you
was
know
there.
what I'm talking about, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
I'm aware.
Okay.
So I went there with a few friends not too long ago, and that place is it looks like a post-apocalyptic town because a long time ago, I think in the 70s or so, a lot of like Hollywood people used to live there, things like that, and it flooded one day. And due to reasons I'm not 100% sure on, but it flooded a lot of dead fish as well and made the place just nobody wanted to live there, so they all moved. And then they left all of their stuff behind. So there's like cars left behind, houses that have just been destroyed and were flooded at one point. Like we went to like an abandoned boat and like stood in it. And if you go there, it's just like being in like just this gnarly slummy area. But it's just but like the thing is, it's like so strange because there's all these ruins of this old little city that like not city, but like a little like, you know, community of people used to live in. And then like cut off from that is like just normal living. Everyone's fine. After that, like all the houses look perfect, and then there's just this absolute garbage section of the town.
You know what that reminds me of? Isn't there a city in the middle of the United States where a coal mine like lit on fire and just kept burning for years, so they had to like abandon the town because of all of the fumes that were coming out?
Oh wow!
Yeah, you can look it up. It's got a population of like 3 because there's just 3 old dudes who refuse to move out of there.
That's super
funny. You go through and it's like Silent Hill kind of town where you're going through. It's foggy and it's this coal mine is just still burning.
I feel like this.
So it's called Centralia, Pennsylvania.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And it's funny because I thought about that because Pennsylvania is known for coal.
Yeah, exactly.
They're built on coal.
That was a good fact check. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was gonna look it up myself, but I was too lazy.
No,
so I appreciate that.
I'm quick on this. I'm quick on these things.
Right?
Man.
No,
really
yeah.
Quick on these
I'm
things,
glad
man.
you found that one. But thinking back to the drive-in movie theater, have you guys been to a drive-in in a while?
I used to
it's a
go
cool
with
experience.
with these old roommates I had all the time. We used to go every month. I saw The Dark Knight Returns there,
Oh shit!
or The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah,
that's what it was. And before that was the Bourne Ultimatum, and they always do a double feature. It's over off of Coronado.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, the one down there in Mexico, Santee.
Yeah, it's in Santee. Yeah.
I think I saw Deadpool there.
Sick.
With some other movie. I forgot what the other movie was. But yeah, I was on mushrooms there one time.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, that's why you get to go like in your car.
I saw The Dark Knight Rises and that just destroyed me. It was crazy.
Weirdly enough, I saw Moana in a drive-in theater, like very kid-friendly Disney movie.
That'd be pretty cool.
It was fun. It was really cool. I actually went to see that with Percy.
It's a fun time, because you're in a car. You can either sit in the back of, if you have a car that has a back, like a trunk or whatever, or, you can open up the back and sit back there. You have
you're just hiding in the trunk,
a bed of a truck, you know what I mean? Or you can just face the car forward, and you got to look through a glass. It's not the best sort of thing. I'd rather just watch it, open air.
If it's cold, your car's gonna get fogged up, which is the funniest thing. Because then everyone around you is suspicious.
Just turning their car on for like 10 minutes to keep their battery on.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's about to be on for like 4 hours.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I've definitely seen people's car
There's all these
just
fumes
die
going
there.
on.
All right, then. This is more of questions for you, Isaac.
Okay.
I'm curious, how did you have sort of like an initiating moment when you started watching movies? Like, did your parents show you a friend, an older brother, or something like that?
No, I always watch movies with my parents.
So it was just was it like a regular thing?
My parents were big movie people.
Oh hell yeah! Okay.
They're really big movie people. I remember my mom was the discount DVD lady. She would just always be in there picking through it for I don't know, like 25 minutes, half an hour, just looking through all these movies just to make sure she got the ones that she wanted because it was on sale. And yeah, we'd grab them and we'd watch them that week. And she'd always want somebody to watch them with her, and I would watch them with her. We would all watch them together with her. Or sometimes if they were good, she likes a lot of very romantic kinds of movies. They're very, very drama. You know? I think I saw Little Women with my mom like 9 times probably.
That's an older one, isn't it?
It was with Winona Ryder. And,
yeah.
And I think Kirsten Dunst is in it too.
I haven't seen that forever, but it's a good movie.
I mean, it's a classic, but it's, come on. That's a movie you watch with your mom. That's totally one of those movies that you...
Well, I mean, unless you're Mitch's mom who showed you what, Alien?
Well,
yeah,
that's the thing. Like, my mom likes very serious, movie. That's a very serious movie.
Yeah, it is.
People are dying from like diseases and stuff and going to war and things like that. And they're just, this is the women that are at home. This is what they're waiting for the men to come back.
Dang.
Like,
I should put that on my list again so I could go
It's
rewatch
a
it.
great movie, but I hate to say it, and I don't mean to put in such short words, but that's kind of what's going on the whole time.
Oh, yeah. No, I get
and
you.
they're just dealing with the struggles of living in this hard life and the cold and the snow and everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's a great movie.
So that was kind of...
she loves Silence of the Lambs though too.
Okay.
Because she's very into the drama.
That was my next question.
Very drama movie. You know what I mean? But it's also horror. It's also very scary. There's also some crazy shit going on.
Do you have a personal favorite for like genres?
I would want to answer that question, but it doesn't seem fair to the other genres that I also love too. So I would say more, I have a favorite for every genre.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can name like a few, like 5 or 6 for each genre, so I get it.
Yeah. And it's not, I'm not really biased when it comes to movies. I like all different kinds of movies.
Hell yeah.
And
all right.
I understand the best part about it is that I understand it because, I got into it at such an early age. And it was cool because there was some sort of a filter on some movies, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Obviously my parents weren't super crazy about the sexuality about some stuff, so they did they just covered my eyes.
So they reached over.
Yeah, they just reached over and they're like, "All right, it's done. All right, you can watch the movie now."
But you could still hear at that point.
Yeah,
right?
it didn't really do a whole lot, but
right.
it was all up here. It was all in the head,
It's like the horror movie equivalent of when people bring up their hands over their eyes.
They know
but
what's
they can
going
still
on.
See.
They're like, "Oh, this guy's just getting ripped to shreds right now."
Right.
But whatever. I don't want to watch.
All right. Well, that's cool. I like that. You know what? My mom was the same way. She brought me into movies as well, so I can definitely credit her for getting me into the movies I'm into. And then I think all 3 of us actually mentioned our mothers are the ones who were kind of like, "You should watch this."
Yeah, maybe we should do like a segment where we all ask our moms to suggest horror movies to us that we should watch.
We should just have our mom show up as guests.
That's
my mom would love to be on this.
I would totally bring my mother down here to do this if I can get her to come do this. I think it'd be pretty cool.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna ask her tonight and be like, "Do you want to be on the podcast talking about movies?" Because she's the perfect moviegoer.
If there was a way we can maybe even figure out how to get a phone on here.
Yeah,
I would love that.
That we could even just call our mother.
Just call our mother. Call our moms.
Give them a ring.
This is great. It went from like really serious horror podcasts. Like, you want to bring your mom on here? Fuck yeah.
Yeah, let's bring our mom on here and have her talk about horror movies with us.
How great and powerful these movies really are. They bring people together.
Hell yeah.
It's horror movies are. It's like, for me, it's like metal music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's just a specific genre. Everybody kind of likes it. I want to say kind of likes it because I don't think everybody really likes it. I think
you're talking about metal.
No, just both things.
Okay.
Both things. I'm comparing both things to themselves right now. And I think people kind of like it because, Ozzy Osbourne. Everybody loves Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of people that don't like Ozzy Osbourne. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
AC/DC. These songs are in kids' movies. They're on commercials. They're everywhere. Everyone likes them. Everyone recognizes them because they know it, because they're great. It's great stuff. Horror movies as well. Some people are watching a horror movie, they don't even realize it's a horror movie sometimes.
There's a few like that. Yeah. You know what? This is good. This is a good segue. I'm ready to talk about
because like movies. Signs is a good one like that.
God. I was talking about Signs earlier with my coworker.
Yeah.
She was talking about the scene where the alien walks across, like they have that found footage.
The Mexico footage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like how it just
scared her. That's a good scene with Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, he's watching it. He's a guy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Watching it, he's all scared.
It was a good movie too.
Good way of building up tension. It was one of one of those. It was a good movie.
It wasn't really one. I didn't really care for the movie a whole lot. I liked it
for Signs.
I mean, it's just my opinion. Just my opinion. I mean, it didn't really work for me so much because I'm not a huge M. Night Shyamalan fan.
Right.
I just hated that it can't handle water. You know what I mean?
It was a nice nod to like War of the Worlds.
Yeah, but if it's running around the cornfields wouldn't it do it in the morning when there's dew all over them and stuff? Like, come
That's
on.
a good fucking point.
Wow.
Actually, I didn't think about that.
Oh no.
We're tearing apart
That movie's
science
not
right now.
really that good anymore. Anyway.
No, dude. Oh no, I
Oh,
didn't even
no.
think about that
And
before.
didn't it rain one time or something?
Yeah, but I don't think they were out.
But who knows? You don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh man.
Why are they even there?
You know what? We're gonna put that into a box, and we're gonna come back to that later because I want to rip apart science just for that.
Yeah, we'll rip
Honestly.
apart science for the
I mean,
dew
I'm
being
just
the
that I'm
weakness.
that kind of movie watcher.
No,
you know
that's
what I mean?
good. That's a good way to.
I like to listen to the things. I
Yeah.
even put the subtitles even
Oh, I
though
put
I can hear
subtitles,
it because
everything.
I want to read it while I hear it. It's just a thing I do.
Well, you miss things sometimes.
Yeah,
So if you put the
it's
subtitles
important
on,
not to miss things.
The
because
amount
it
of times
changes
I've
the whole movie for you.
misheard dialogue in movies because of just like bad recording or something
Right.
like that is uncountable. So like subtitles are not just there for the deaf.
yeah, that's true. There are two different types of subtitles too. There's one for like the hard of hearing, and then there's another one that's just like a direct subtitle of what they're saying.
Did you know that there are movies for blind people?
No, how does that work?
All right, so it literally is the script being read to them with the
Oh.
sound of the movie playing.
That sounds
It
like
was
a cool
one of the
experience.
coolest things I ever saw. I had no idea, and then I had a deaf friend, blind friend, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I watched Deadpool 2," and I was like, "The fuck?"
Yeah, how?
Like I said that to him. I said, "The fuck?" And he's just like, "Yeah, we have blind movies now," and I was like, "You have to show me this." Like, show.
Right.
And he pulled it up on his phone and showed me a blind movie, and it's just a black screen. It just like says the script over to you, and it actually describes the scene for them as like the sound and everything from the movie is playing.
Okay.
And so it's a very different experience for them.
I actually had an uncle that had a blind friend, and he would read him the comics and just describe it to him. You know
That's
what I
a
mean?
cool story.
Whoa, so he would
And
sit next to him and
He
just
would
like
sit next to him, and then he would. So it's kind of funny because he explained it to me. So because I'm really into comics as well, but you know, like some guy, oh, he's punching him this way, so he would grab his hand and put it like into a fist,
what?
and then move it like he did this,
Yeah.
and then his friend would move his hand that way. So now he knows what the hero was. The hero was punching upwards. He was doing this.
Dang.
And then he would grab his leg. He's like, "You see this? Like he grabbed this and he moved it that way, and he hit you. He hit someone here, and he touched him there."
What year was this like around? Like how old were they?
He was born. I mean, this is probably like maybe early '80s.
Okay.
It was like probably like 80.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of good
81.
comics out at that time. So
Oh yeah,
as
he
good
was
as,
a
like,
big.
prime
He was a
time.
huge fan of like Spider-Man.
Hell yeah.
And the X-Men, because the X-Men were huge. The X-Men
Dang.
were big.
Talk about good friends. Would you read me a comic, Mitch, if I was blind?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If
See?
you became blind and you called me up and you said, "John, Mitch, I really need you to read a comic to me because I'm blind now," I would listen to Isaac's story here,
Right.
and I would just recreate that entire scene with you in a very
Yeah.
loving fashion.
That's a heartwarming story.
You're welcome.
You know, I'm hearing both that.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
let's talk about the girl getting brutally murdered in Black Christmas now.
Yes.
I'm completely down for that. I've been waiting for.
Oh, by the way,
I'm
Final
gonna talk
Girl
about these
was
sorority
absolute
girls getting
shit.
killed.
Absolute shit. We totally like segued off of talking about how bad Final Girl was.
Yeah. But we're coming back to it.
Are we
No, it
coming-
was good stuff, Mitch. It was good stuff.
No, it was not.
You didn't like anything that you didn't like what we just talked about?
Oh no, that was all good stuff. No,
It
I'm
was
not.
great.
I'm not talking
It was
about that.
great. It was
Yeah,
great.
no.
We got our moms got in there. Come on.
Yeah, no, I had no problem with that.
I
It's
think
okay.
the better question is, which movie do you guys want to start with? Do you want to talk about The Final Girls or do you want to talk about Black Christmas?
I kind of think we should get the Final Girl situation dealt with,
Situation.
just so we can.
Yeah.
Because
Well, okay. Here's
Yeah,
I mean, I have to say something about the confusion here that happened, because that
Whoa.
was not fair at all.
it wasn't fair to me either. I suffered twice.
You didn't have to. If you maybe, I don't know. I'm not gonna be Captain Hindsight over here, and just think about things that could have happened.
Let's talk about that real quick, but I think we should do Black Christmas first
Okay.
because
All right,
chronologically, it was one of the original slasher films.
it was
1974.
credited as one of the pioneers of the original slasher films, not the very first one. I don't think so, and I think other people don't agree with that, so that's why it's kind of up in the air.
But I mean, it was a precursor to like Halloween. And,
Oh
like,
yeah,
some of
it
the
was
other
an
ones.
influence to Halloween.
Yeah,
It was the same kind of deal. It's a stalker guy,
yeah,
doesn't really talk like, I mean, obviously Michael Myers doesn't talk at all, but
right.
this guy is talking and using the phone, but you know,
So
it's the stalking part. It's the stalkingness, you know.
I've got some history for you.
Go for it.
I got some history for you. So the first slasher movie, and this also does depend on who you ask, but if we're going to go by years,
Okay,
there's Bay of Blood, which I've never seen, which was 1971.
I've seen that one.
And then there's also Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Black Christmas, which were released in 1974. And they're cited as the foundation of the genre for the most part.
Yeah, that's why I bring the argument of that being, you know, one of the pioneers.
Oh,
of,
for sure.
Yeah.
of being the slasher.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's, and like I said, I'm not saying it's the first one. I don't really think Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a slasher movie.
I
Just
don't
kind of like
think
we
so
talked
either.
about that the other day when we were yesterday when we were watching.
Yeah,
these movies.
exactly. Yeah, no, I don't
Again, yeah.
think it qualifies as slasher because it's definitely like redneck horror
That's
sort
some,
of
that's
redneck
like some,
murder
that's like
family
some Hills
sort
Have
of.
Eyes shit right there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
It's very much like that.
I feel like that Hills Have Eyes is a, you know, an after thing of Texas Chainsaw for sure.
I originally thought of Texas Chainsaw Massacre as a slasher film, but it doesn't necessarily follow like those rules that sort of most slasher films have.
I mean, it has the final girl. That is
The
but
Texas
that's just-
Chainsaw Massacre?
It does.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
She gets away in the truck
Yes, she
at the
does.
very end.
Which version are you talking about?
I'm talking about the original.
The
70s,
original-
70s
yep.
version.
Okay, I have to
Tobe
rewatch that
Hooper's
one
version.
then. Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like one of the coolest parts of that movie though was her running away with like Leatherface like twirling around with the chainsaw and whatnot, and she's on the back of the truck as it's just going away and she's escaped.
that's the scene where he's pretty much just running full speed with the chainsaw in hand,
No,
right?
Yeah.
that's the one where he's pissed and he's like spinning around in circles.
Yeah.
And he's
No,
just
I
like,
know what
oh,
you're talking
got
about.
away, god damn it. Basically, but
Okay.
you know, in Chainsaw.
All right.
Yeah.
So what happened was when I told Mitch what movie they were supposed to watch, he went and found Final Girl, which is not a good film at all. And they watched it twice. Well, actually, I should say Isaac and Mitch watched it twice before finally watching The Final Girls.
Yes, that is exactly what happened. Final Girl was absolutely terrible. I'm sorry, Isaac, for subjecting you to that movie one time.
I'm just
dealt with
gonna
it 2
give you
times.
guys a little rundown on Final Girl here, just so we can clear the water,
Go for it.
and you guys know why this upsets me so much. So first of all,
I was legit upset about watching it.
this movie starts off with, you know, the final girl. And she's just getting prepped. She's just getting prepped at an early age up until she's an adult. And by this really mysterious... What'd you say he was a hybrid of?
He looks like a hybrid of Jason Statham and Jake Gyllenhaal. Or that's his name, right?
That
His name
doesn't-
is Wes Bentley. And I guess he's a hybrid of...
Those
Jason
two,
Statham
he looks
and Jake
exactly like
Gyllenhaal.
those two people just put together.
He
That
does
does
kind of
not.
look like them. I'm not going to lie. He's like a beefy Jake Gyllenhaal. You know what I mean?
Beefy.
Like he's
I
a little
wouldn't think
bit.
of
He's a
that
little
for
bit
him.
more stony. You know, a little more manly.
All right.
Like, you know, like more
just fit.
more brawn. I guess that's the word you could use. Brawn.
I would
He's a-
agree with this.
He's a brawnier
assessment.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
All right.
You know, I can see it. I can see a little bit. He looks like Hugh Jackman's little brother. To me, that's what he looks like.
So
So anyway,
tell me
so-
like the main reason why you don't like this film.
So the whole entire thing, everything was
Oh,
terrible.
so it was
about
just an overall bad.
It was just a
experience.
bad movie. It was a
Yes.
bad time. This guy's training this girl, Abigail Breslin from, you know, Little Miss Sunshine, the little girl. And
You know what?
she's adorable.
I just thought of something. You know what we should do? We should do a little bit after we finish this podcast, where we just rip apart Final Girl. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
At the end, I'm totally down to
I'm gonna-
critique
I'm
and
gonna
destroy it as well.
I'll leave a little. So if you guys want
Yeah,
to,
let's get back to this.
if you guys want to
Yeah.
hear our just absolutely brutal tear apart of a Final Girl, go ahead and stay tuned after the music cuts out, and we'll go straight into that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's loop back. So
Okay, back on topic.
so we were originally talking about
Black Christmas.
Black Christmas, because
Black
it's part
Christmas,
of those movies that were part of the original grouping for what the
For
slasher
what the
films.
slasher
yeah.
film would be
Exactly.
or will
Yes.
be.
And they were all in the 70s. So this one came out in 74. And then what were the other years? Do you remember?
The other years was, Texas Chainsaw came out the same year that it did.
Okay.
And then Bay of Blood came out
Very
3 years
crazy
earlier.
times.
in
Crazy
71.
times right now.
Yeah.
Things are volatile. Things are
so
things are up
currently in the world, like in the zeitgeist, there's what, like a real fear of serial killers, right?
in the air. There's well, the thing about it, if you look at horror movies, at that point, there was like the randomness killings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just people just doing crazy acts for no reason. It was like I spit on your grave and things like that. You know what I mean?
Also a good movie.
A great movie. And then you have what's his name? H. Lewis, the Goremeister, the guy from the 60s, the late 60s. He just did all these crazy H. Gordon Lewis, that's his name.
Which movie did you do?
I think he did one called like Blood Feast or something like that.
I'm thinking of a later film. Feast.
No. This guy is
Well, that's all right.
crazy.
We'll figure it out in just
No,
a few
he's right
seconds
here. It's Herschel Gordon Lewis, H. Gordon Lewis.
Okay.
What he goes by as well. And he did do Blood Feast.
Okay.
So yeah, I was right.
What year was Blood Feast released?
63.
Okay, so it's a little earlier.
So, but this is like some crazy shit.
Is
this
it
is
like
some like art filmy, like
okay.
he's like pulling out like a whole like esophagus out of someone. You know what I mean? That he probably bought at a butcher store that's from a pig or something like that.
Was this like the movie Faces of Death, where they showed you like real people getting
yeah,
killed?
but it's obviously not real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like putting like a freaking like a drill in some girl's face or something.
Okay.
Like that. You know, like it's really
Yeah.
gruesome. It's out of control. Crazy for the 60s. I mean, it would be crazy now. People would probably be
Right.
like, "What is this right now?" It's almost like porn.
It was
You know what I
like
mean?
it was like Night of the Living Dead getting released in the 50s.
Yeah, Night of the Living Dead is a lot tamer.
They had so much. Well, for the people, they didn't understand like what was going
well,
on.
That's a brilliant movie. First
Yeah.
of all, it's for everyone. Everyone can watch that movie because it's crazy, but it's kind of real, which is the best part about it. Like they give you that real essence. They show you all that real footage and stuff like that, and it's dope. It's so good. I love it.
So, I just want to give you guys some facts about Black Christmas so you can kind of get an idea of where it lands sort of in the horror genre and what sort of like subgenre I guess it was. So definitely horror. It was definitely a slasher film. But if you go and look up some of the descriptions, you might find a description that says a psychological slasher film. This movie itself was produced and directed by Bob Clark. He's a Canadian filmmaker, and it was really big in Canada apparently, and just flopped for some reason when it first came out in the United States, and then gained popularity as more people picked it up and started getting like sort of a cult following for it. It stars Olivia Hussey, who is, or how do you say her last name? I don't think that's how you say it. Hussey?
I think you're right. To be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, she's most known for being in Romeo and Juliet that came out in like 1968. But she also did, this is a cool side note for her, she did a voiceover work for Star Wars The Old Republic, the game that came out in 2011.
Interesting.
She was Jedi Master Yuan Par, which is kind of cool, right? It's a surprise. When I was researching it, I didn't know she had done the voiceover work like that. And so it also stars John Saxon, and you know this guy as the lieutenant from A Nightmare on Elm Street. So he plays the same character. He plays the lieutenant in Black Christmas as well, the police lieutenant. So he was a little bit typecasted, but John Saxon was in all kinds of movies. He was in Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
The one with
He
Bruce
was in
Lee.
Enter the Dragon. He was in also From Dusk Till Dawn.
Exactly.
He's
Wasn't
in,
he a CIA agent in that one?
He's an FBI agent.
Yeah, there you go.
And he's also in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, definitely. He was also a police lieutenant. Pretty much the same role.
He's a cop.
Yeah.
No matter what I mean, I don't know. Is he just a karate guy in Enter the Dragon? Is he just a karate champion?
He was like a martial artist who shows
Yeah, he's
up.
not undercover or anything.
No, he's
No.
like another competitor
Yeah,
for the
but
tournament.
and I remember him too because he's totally. I remember that scene where they see all the girls and he's just completely into it. He's just like, oh, all right, like yeah, let's get into this. He's just ready to just be this flaunty karate guy.
Right.
And he's just like the guy with the big afro. I remember him. They were friends. I think they were friends in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, he's also like the only other white dude in that movie.
Yeah, I remember that movie pretty well. I think so.
What's up, Mitch?
So he was also in Old Dogs, God's Ears. It's like he has a shitload of movies that he's been in.
He's a big B horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
actor.
Oh,
Everything is
definitely.
just-
But
he's
some
just
of the
a horror
like,
movie actor.
well, there's ones that are like he was in a Genghis Khan movie.
That's weird.
Oh yeah,
from
well,
2010.
He's from a whole nother time, you know. Like,
He's old now. He's what, like 83?
dude, John Wayne is Genghis Khan. In that, I think it's that same Genghis Khan movie. I think he's John Wayne.
So a really funny article came out about John Wayne recently.
Is that it? Look it up.
For which one?
So the one where he plays.
No, it's just a. No, it sounds looks like this is actually a documentary that he was in.
Oh okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Did you guys hear about that? About somebody bringing up an old interview about John Wayne?
I mean, I'm not surprised. He's a pretty crazy individual.
So first of all, John Wayne is old as fuck, or he's dead now.
He's
but
dead now. He's gone now.
but at the time, he was like in the middle of his career, and I'm like, of course he's gonna have something to say where he's slightly racist or something else that's gonna be problematic. And so to bring it up now in 2019 is pointless
I would
because
just say it's problematic. I mean, I don't know. No one.
Well, for us
we
now,
don't- we
not
don't
necessarily
know.
during
Yeah,
the time.
No one really knows, but I mean, I just feel like it's just some people are just from that time. It's just, I don't know. Like his movies are very like, poof.
well, he was like the best star for like a couple decades. Like,
Oh yeah,
you know,
he was
the
the most
top
one
of
of
the
the
charts.
most liked actors around until
Yeah.
like Clint Eastwood came around and he made it a little edgier. Or whatever.
Well, Clint Eastwood was interesting because he went from being a really like strong, tough guy to sort of getting like softer characters.
Oh yeah,
And then in his old age, he went back to it and was like trying to make...
he actually is in a horror movie himself.
Which one?
It's called Play Misty for Me.
I've never heard of that. What
it's
is
a
it about?
It's a great movie. It's about this girl that calls in this radio station because he's a DJ,
Okay.
and she asks, "Hey, play this song Misty for me." And then she finally like gets to know him, and she starts stalking him, and it becomes this whole
Oh.
thing. She's obsessed with him, and she doesn't leave him alone.
Have you seen the movie Swim Fan?
Yeah, I would compare it to like a swim fan where she's just obsessed.
Right,
And she
just
goes
completely.
to dire measures, and it becomes this epic thing. And I don't want to say anything about it because if you haven't seen it, don't I
Right.
want you to watch
Oh,
it.
I'll go watch it. I'm going to put
Watch
it on
it.
the list.
But yeah, that's Play Misty for Me. That's a great horror movie.
I'm going to go check it out.
Yeah.
So for Black Christmas, let's go to the beginning of the film. So we kind of get an intro to sorority house, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
But like not your typical sorority house. For me, honestly, I was watching it and I don't think that they made the main actresses out to be like they were dumb or they were like bimbos,
No,
basically.
I think it's great that they did it on a Christmas night
that too.
because they were partying.
Right.
They weren't being behaved. They were being themselves.
Yeah, everyone was relaxed.
They're kind of chilling. They're lax. They're drinking some alcohol. They're obviously the landlady or whatever
Oh yeah,
she
the house
is,
mother.
She's definitely probably drinking too, so she doesn't care. Everyone's just kind of loose.
She busts out a bottle in every other scene.
Yeah,
that she's
she's
in.
got
Not
like
even
a bottle
every
tied
scene
to everything.
that she's
it's
in.
crazy.
She like goes to the toilet, pulls booze out of there, packing,
And she doesn't
pulls out
even
some
drink.
booze real quick.
Oh my god, she doesn't
and
even
the
rinse the
bottles?
bottle.
Well, here's the deal, Isaac. Her bottles never get any lower. They always seem to refill. So either she's got multiple stashes around the house, or she just has like a shitload of booze.
She probably has a shitload of booze.
Yeah, I
I
believe
mean,
it.
that's a pretty. I mean, I don't know, man. I think you would do pretty well if you're a landlady of a sorority college house.
Yeah.
Well, she's not the landlady. She's just the house
She's
mother.
like the head lady.
She's just like their like guardian. She's not like owning the place.
I still think you would do pretty
but
well.
she probably gets paid pretty well for that.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty important job.
It does seem like pretty important, but I want to touch on the point of all of the female characters or all of the victims in the movie. Essentially,
Yeah.
all of them are decently developed. They
Yeah.
all have a moment that shows a bit of their personality and makes you sort of maybe empathize a little bit or see something,
it's-
to care about.
Well,
Sort of.
it's good
So their
because it
deaths
starts
are more dramatic.
It starts off that way, great, because, I mean, you get your first kill pretty early. Like,
Very
That
true.
was a surprise actually
know,
for me.
it's kind of part of the beginning. That
Right.
girl that gets the
I was surprised that
plastic
she
wrapped around her head.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
surprised that she had gotten murdered because usually in these kind of films you don't have like the innocent virgin, like Christian kind of character get killed first. They usually last a good while.
Yeah.
So it was a surprise to see her get killed.
I think it was really, I mean, obviously, I don't think they really thought about it. They're like, oh, hey, let's just kill this girl off. I kind of think that's kind of what they did.
Like they did it on purpose?
No, just to do it. There wasn't a reason behind it. It was just to do it. It was like, hey, it'd be crazy if we just kill her off.
Oh, that's film analysis getting the better of me.
Let's just do it.
I want to know why.
What I mean? I don't think there was any motive behind it. I think it was just a great scene. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, what I was saying is it kind of goes against some of the the rules of slasher films, right?
But the thing is that was before there was rules.
But
you know what I mean?
Here's the other thing, though. Narratively in the movie, her death is what sparks the police investigation in the first place.
Yeah,
you're right.
She's
because
missing.
because if the house lady had gone missing, nobody would have cared. If
you were 100% right.
Or if the redhead that dies earlier on, if she had gotten killed, I don't think anyone really would have noticed. They would have been like, oh, she's probably off doing something.
Yeah, and it's that couple, and the boyfriend's getting pissed.
Yeah.
Why is no one looking for her?
Yeah, exactly.
Why is no one doing this?
Yeah,
He's wearing the fur coat. I remember that too. He's wearing a fur coat for I don't know why.
Yeah, and they're just like, why is nobody looking for that particular girl?
Oh, he was stylish. What? That was a good coat.
It was a good coat. It was a good coat. He does have a great coat. Yes.
That was a great coat. But I do like that she dies early because it does set the tone for the villain. It sets the tone for the movie saying that, oh, hey, this guy is not going to be, he's not going to have any kind of discretion. He's just going to do it. Like, he's just going to wait for the opportunity to do it, and we're going to expect this now. He's just crazy.
The murderer in this movie is a high-dexterity rogue who has just been given all liberty in this house.
Rolling 20s.
To backstab every single freaking person in the house, and he's allowed to do that.
He's not a gangster either. He's just rolling 20s.
Oh, man. I love so much about this movie. I loved a lot about this movie. I like some of the style choices, the first-person views that you have of the killer usually sneaking up on someone, or him just watching from between the railing of the stairs.
Which is what makes it such a great movie.
Yeah, it just creates the atmosphere. They set up the climax and then the fall of action, the rise of action and fall of action it was always set with the attic opening or closing.
Yeah. No,
so if the attic opens, that means that shit's about to die.
Gonna get killed.
Yeah, exactly. When it closes, okay, we're gonna have a break for a moment, and he's gonna babble for a bit. The phone calling was really good, played on your anxiety really well,
right?
As well, and
because you just want hang up, hang up.
Well, she couldn't in that movie because they wanted to get a trace.
No, I mean at the beginning though, when she's like, "Why? This guy keeps calling."
That made me really like Barb a lot in the beginning of that movie because she was talking back to him. She was like,
yep.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, that's pretty weak. I
mean, in the sake for it being a movie where they all get murdered, I will say yes.
Right.
But I've dealt with many people that just get calls from people that are obviously not going to say anything, and they're almost like, why didn't you just not answer that number anymore?
Nah, I'm not that person. What I mean? I'll say something back. Yeah, I'm that person.
I can't do that.
I will stay on the phone. I will give them
less information. The less information you have, the better for me. You know what I mean? But hey, I don't know.
It was a good way to get an idea.
Yeah, it's a personality thing.
Yeah, exactly. You got to see the personality of all of the female characters to start with, and then they chose the girls that they wanted to flesh out, sort of, where it's which characters are going to matter. I was not expecting Jess to be sort of the main person, where she associates the most with the police, with figuring out who's going on, her whole issue with the boyfriend, which we'll get to in a second. But I want to go back to talking about the sort of first person shooting that they did, which is one of the first times you might see this in any sort of film.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool, the background for it.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. What year was Jaws? Anybody know what year was that?
I think that was 1976.
76?
Yeah,
okay,
later.
So just after this. So I think we might be able to say there might be some influence.
Well, look, this is the thing. You had the release of this movie.
Yeah.
You had the release of Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah.
Which became huge.
And then A Nightmare on Elm Street.
That wasn't until the 80s.
Early 80s, though.
But it was before Jaws.
You're right.
I'm talking about Jaws.
Yeah, Jaws was before it.
So what that has to do with it is that now they said that when that movie came out, horror went mainstream because it was a Spielberg thing. You know what I mean? It was one of his first movies.
He jumped on the bandwagon.
But he did Duel before that though.
Yeah, he was
Duel
sort of
was
like
the car movie, where that guy's chasing him and he's yeah, and that's his first movie. That's actually his very first movie was Duel. His very first movie was a horror movie, which is
Really?
awesome. Yeah, Spielberg's first movie was a horror movie.
I feel like there was
Duel.
others before it, but
No.
I'll take your word for it.
No, look it up right now. Look it up right now.
Okay, so they had those first person shots, which kind of influenced how other films might be made. But I think what I liked especially about it was that it was sort of this like handheld camera that he had with him.
Yeah,
And he sort of had like a rig that he
you
attached
knew this
to
guy
himself.
knew some tricks.
Well, apparently
He
the
knew
camera,
some tricks. You know what I mean?
the camera was from his shoulder, is what it's
Ah.
described as. And I
So
went
it's
to look it up.
strapped on there.
Yeah, he had a rig that he made, and the cameraman is the one that you got to see his hands and his face. That was the cameraman. That wasn't like a person that they brought on for the character.
What are we looking like here, Mitch?
Isaac's got it.
Yeah.
He's schooled us. Yeah, dude. Duel is like the earliest movie Spielberg made. It was 1971. It's classified as thriller action by Google.
Okay. But Google's not the
That's
best
a
for
horror
those.
movie.
Yeah, it's really, I've never seen the movie
Me neither,
personally.
actually.
So
Oh,
I
dude,
mean,
it gets you. It really does get your blood boiling.
Okay.
You really feel this guy like is helpless, and it's like, dude, this guy just keeps following me, and it's a semi truck that just keeps following. It keeps fucking with this guy.
I'll have to.
And-
Oh, wait. I've heard of this movie.
Yeah,
Someone else told
and
me
then
about
and
it.
then there's like there's a whole like part where he goes into a town and does all this shit, and like you forget about it almost for a bit, and he gets back on the road, and you're like, oh shit, I forgot it's this movie again.
All right. So we get into the film. We get an intro. We get a kill really early on in the films to kind of set the tone for you. So the killer's in the
Smart
house.
move.
Right. So it's good. Like they get your fear going right at the beginning, but then you also get an established rule, like where you had said, where someone's going to get killed when he comes out of the attic. And he's going to go down and sort of stalk around the house and find a single person. He's never doing this when there's a lot of people there.
It makes him more monster-like.
Right. You didn't get to
You
see
know
him.
what I mean? Because it's like he's going to his home and leaving his home. Like he's going to feed.
He's
know?
hiding. Oh, that's
It
a
ma-
good analogy.
It makes me think like a spider, like those trapdoor
fair.
spiders. You know what I mean?
Oh, dang.
I
You
like
even
this.
used
You know
what I mean?
trapdoor.
yeah,
Because
even-
he's literally coming out. That's a good.
That's
Yeah,
good.
he's just
I like
like,
it.
he's like, oh, there's no movement. All right,
Right.
I can come out. All right. Oh shit.
I want to talk about one of the best kills in the movie.
Okay.
Come on, the best kill is definitely like the house lady, or like the mistress of the house for them, when she goes up the stairs and he hides there and he throws the hook at her face.
Oh yeah.
That's like the best kill in the movie.
You thought that was the best one?
I think
that
that was the best
one?
kill.
I
I think
like-
that was the
I
best
think,
kill in the
To
movie.
be honest, I think kill number 1 was the best one for me.
Really? Just because of the plastic bag?
Oh, and it's propped up there.
Well, no,
the whole movie.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
so
right.
that's
brutal.
true. That's true. Yeah, they
And
just
he's
leave her in
playing
the
with her
chair.
and shit.
In a
Every-
rocking chair?
Yeah, that's
They-
so fucked. It is.
My favorite was when he kills Barb with the unicorn.
That's
With
really
the glass
great.
unicorn. But I'll tell you why I like it. That was my favorite.
It's classy.
Because you get a shot of his face, but the only thing you can see is a stream of light that's across his eyeball. So you get to see his like crazed eye as he's about to stab her, and then the whole scene, you don't see him like directly stabbing her. You get to see like the sort of moment when he brings up the unicorn, and then it goes back down, and then it sort of gets like surreal for a moment, and then he retreats back to his attic after that.
I think that the hook to the face is my favorite kill, but my favorite shot in the movie
Yeah.
is definitely that one that you're talking about. It's just
Right.
the
It
shot of the
makes it-
unicorn on the bed as he like grabs it,
Yeah.
and then also the shot when he's about to just destroy her. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it makes it a very complete, experience because you get a little bit of everything.
Right.
You get the grittiness of him being a complete creep and weirdo and yelling in the attic. You know what I mean? And you get that kill, which is kind of like a more graceful. It's kind of slower. Like when you see him pick up the thing and the way he's holding it, and the light hits it, and you can see that it's clear, and it's a crystal unicorn, and just he stabs her. It's very it's kind of a beautiful scene, to be honest. It really is. It's someone getting stabbed with a unicorn straight up in the chest. But
that's exactly why I like it though.
It's a beautiful scene, and it just depicts madness and craziness.
Right. Do we
And-
ever figure out what exactly is wrong with him? They don't really tell us anything about
You don't
him.
know anything about
No,
this guy.
nothing
dude.
about this guy.
You know nothing about this guy.
He's just a crazy person that is calling the house.
Which is the best part because it keeps it in the same good horror movie rules, which it's like it's a play on making it shocking and gory and kind of something that you're afraid to see, but also keeping you in the dark a little bit.
Yeah.
Fear of
And
the
not-
unknown.
Yeah, the fear of the unknown, which is a very, very great thing. That's an H.P. Lovecraft thing, right?
Yeah, that's just a horror thing in general.
Yeah,
Just-
but
Yeah.
no,
Yeah,
but
being
I think
afraid
he
of-
was one of the people that had that notion of like the
Yes.
less you see, the
Yep.
more
Mhm.
scary it really is.
Yeah.
Or the less you know, the more
Yes.
scary it really is because you don't understand it. And they totally did that with because we don't know who this guy is. We don't never know, not even at the beginning. He's just some random guy that's living in the attic. He got in there through the window. That's one of the first scenes. He just gets in there through the attic window. And it's funny because later on in the movie, she says, I just realized that this is the only window that's locked in this house.
They do mention that. They mentioned when those two dudes visit and they're like, "Oh, make sure you lock up all the doors and windows," and then they realize that everything is literally open
Yeah.
in the house because it's a sorority house.
And
Everyone
you don't
goes in
think
and out.
about it. You don't think about that.
Well, that's like more of a norm for like the time. I don't think a lot of people lock their doors anyway.
It's also a very Canadian thing,
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that.
you know?
'Cause,
this
like,
is a very,
yeah.
it is a Canadian movie, obviously.
I forget about the Canada part, so we have that whole a different like
Right.
cultural influence.
Yeah,
on
no,
the
I
movie
mean, but
itself.
I know a couple of people that are from Canada. I went to high school with them, and because they came straight from here, they're like, "Oh, dude, I'm straight up Canadian, like, and that's what I am. That's who I am." And they're like, "Oh, nobody locks their doors. Like, no one locks their doors. Like, no one locks their doors. No one locks their cars. You don't have to. Why would you have to do that? They're not afraid. You know, they're just this is how they live."
Yeah. Kind of
Live like
sucks
that.
to live in the United States because of that fact.
Dude, we have multiple locks on our doors here. It's almost a fact, you know.
That's pretty funny. I didn't think about that until you just mentioned it, where they do have a moment where they realize that everything's locked, but when they go and lock everything, they're in a sense locking themselves in with the killer. So it's even more ironic that they ended up doing that.
Yeah.
And then so he keeps going, right? And so
This guy's just got the best angle.
so far he's been undetectable. You haven't seen him. You've only seen like hands and like sort of that crazed eye, and things are sort of ramping up. So we sort of had an idea that the phone calls were coming from inside the house, right? At least we knew, the audience knew. But building up to that moment, I think was really well done. For them to like do the trace on the call and for the guy to be like, where's the call coming from? And then they were using like the mechanical pieces at that point. So like it wasn't easy for them to figure it out. So how did you guys feel about the ramp up to like discovering that, or sort of like the characters discovering that? Because Jess was the one who was on like the phone with the person trying to get the tap.
It's built up first off, it's built up with the Max. Is it Max? Max is the name of the.
Yeah. That's a different movie. That's
You
No.
talking about the
I'm-
police chief?
oh,
about
God
Final
damn
Girls.
it. All right, so never mind. Black Christmas. We have the girl that is trying to find the phone in the house.
No, she was trying to keep the guy long enough on the phone for they could get a trace. So
Yes.
they could figure out where the call was coming from.
Yes, exactly. So she's having a fight with her boyfriend over her
Yes.
pregnancy. So it brings up, and her boyfriend goes to the house to confront her about this situation.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we get a scapegoat for the
Her
killer.
name's Jess.
Exactly.
Her
A
name's
scapegoat.
Jess.
Yeah. Jess, thank you. Thank you very much for getting me on that.
Jess was the girl on the phone. Yeah.
Yes.
So Jess is the one with her boyfriend. What was the boyfriend's name?
I think the boyfriend was he Bill or no?
Billy.
Oh, it's Billy.
Billy,
Yeah, it is
right?
Billy because the guy says Billy in the thing.
Wait, hold on. Let me see here.
On the phone. He says Billy on the phone a bunch of times.
Yeah. It's 'cause
Really
he's,
creepily.
he's teasing her about being pregnant and
Yep.
whether or not what she's going to do about that.
Peter. His name is Peter.
Wow, we're really bad.
His name is Peter.
Maybe he just said Billy a lot over the phone.
Yeah,
no,
maybe-
Billy's the other movie. Billy's the slasher from Final Girls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
Look, I think you're just excited to talk about the Final Girls is what it
That's
is.
really what it is, yeah.
No, it's I'm actually excited to talk about Peter because that's the shittiest piano player I've ever heard of.
I was
in my
wondering
life.
about that.
He's pretty terrible.
He's like,
Well, I mean, he
at-
doesn't get the
he's
whatever
like
he was like trying for. He was
Not
like
surprised.
auditioning and then destroys the computer, the the piano after, and then gets really upset. So I'm assuming they were like, "This is terrible. We're not going to take your audition."
He takes a bat to the piano.
or like
No, it was like I don't know what you call those. They're the support beams for like those like.
Oh yeah,
those
no,
threads
it
that
was
cut people off. I don't know, what do you call those?
a little pedestal thing.
They create lines in front of clubs.
I have no idea.
those
I have no
are
idea
those
what
are
they're
what they are.
So it's pretty much just like a pole, and it has like a square bottom, and it's used to make like a queue line, like for a movie theater,
And he just
or like a
slams that.
venue. Or
Really,
something like
the
that.
only thing you need to know about this is that it's heavy at the bottom, so
It's heavy at the
easy for him to destroy the piano, and then destroys it, gets really mad about it, and then goes and confronts Jess, which is like why the cops sort of assume that he might be the killer, because he's like in there with Jess sort of towards the end of it.
Yes.
So they find out the calls are coming from inside the house. The police lieutenant tries to warn her by telling Nash, who's the guy at the station, he's the one who answers the calls. He tells him to not tell her that the killer's in the house, to just walk out the front door, and then they'll handle the rest of it later. And he calls her and tells her exactly that. And I fucking hate Nash for that. He's such a piece of shit cop.
Well, I mean, just with her, like, she's also pretty shitty herself. I mean, she totally did not listen to him.
Who, Jess?
He's like, don't repeat what I'm saying. Is he in there? Just say yes or no.
I would argue that she only did that because she knew her friends were upstairs.
Yeah, but she just totally just...
Because I'd probably do the same
I think
shit.
she screwed it up. She went upstairs. She just totally didn't leave the house.
She doesn't listen to the people trying to help her at all, and goes against their judgment of the situation. And then you have the whole they figure out the phone calls coming from inside the house, which means the killer is inside the house. And then you have the boyfriend showing up as like, the scapegoat for it. And he also sort of kind of has the same haircut-ish, I guess. So that's really the comparison that we really get there for them. And yeah.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have a movie, though, if it wasn't for all those bad decisions that happened, though. You know what I mean? So
I don't think anyone made a bad decision in that movie besides the cops.
I think she made a bad decision by going upstairs.
Well,
The cop told her, hey, leave the house. There's obviously a killer in the house. He's calling from inside.
Would the situation have changed if she had gone upstairs or not? I don't think so, because her friends were pretty much dead either way.
so what are you saying? Was it unnecessary for her to run upstairs then?
Yeah, pretty much. Or it wouldn't matter either way.
I don't know.
The way her friends are dead, what would she have done upstairs?
Well, I'm only against it because it makes sense that she would run upstairs to make sure her friends are okay, because they've all bonded at this point.
Oh, the cop that was watching the house also got murdered
Sometime,
by the killer.
yeah.
They never show that part
No.
either, but they just allude to it by showing it to you, of course.
Well, yeah,
They
he got
slit
his
his throat.
Yeah. You don't find out until the police lieutenant shows up. And he's like, why is he not answering his radio? And he's just dead in his car. Then you got to think about how long he's been dead in his car. Because it's like, he must have gotten killed sometime earlier in the night.
Because he's a Pez dispenser now. That's why.
Or, here's a crazy theory. Listeners, are there just two killers in the movie?
What is this, Scream?
I mean, they did take a lot. I mean, Scream did take a lot from this movie. for
Yeah,
sure.
that's fair. But Wes Craven, well, yeah, he did.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. Well, he sort of made it for another time period.
Just,
he made it for the 90s.
creative ways of killing people inside of, a house full of teenagers or whatever. Like it's classic slasher stuff. It's classic slasher stuff, man.
Oh, the killing of young teenage people, is
just
that what it is?
The whole thing. Just
That's
like,
fair.
let's
It's never
kill 'em
like
with
middle-aged
household
people.
objects, a hook in the attic, an ornament on the shelf, you know what I mean? Like some girl in Scream, but she gets put up in an electric door, on a garage door.
She
you know
gets
what I mean?
killed by a weak ass garage door. That never
Yeah,
made sense to
It
me.
doesn't make any sense to me. She's a little thick. I think that thing would have held up pretty well.
No, I think it would have just broke and she would have fell to the ground. Like it lifts her up, and I'm like, garage doors are not that strong.
Well, I mean,
It's like those weak ass panel, like you can run
it's
up
like
and
aluminum.
dent it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she wasn't some like.
Well, she was trying to crawl through the window, and then it goes up, and then she dies somehow in that process.
She wasn't.
was weird.
She wasn't an Anne Hathaway. I'll tell you that.
What happened to Anne Hathaway?
She's, they're just very different.
Oh, I thought she died
very-
some
no.
specific way in another movie.
No.
My bad.
No,
You were
they're-
just making comparisons as far as they look.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yes,
my bad.
yes.
I was
Which
like,
is a terrible
has
thing.
Anne Hathaway been in a
Which sounds
horror film?
absolutely terrible when you say it that way, but
Oh, I
yes.
was just saying.
No, it's okay. It's all right.
Wait, so the guy in the car gets killed. The police lieutenant finally shows up to the house and goes inside and figures out like essentially what's happened. No, they go to the basement because not Billy. What the fuck is his name? Peter
has gone down there to confront.
Well, he breaks open the window. He breaks the window to get in.
He breaks open the window.
And she's terrified at that point. I thought she was dead when they first showed up. And then it turns out she's still alive. And then the cops just don't bother to check the attic, apparently. So just like the worst cops.
They even mention it in the movie. They walk out like, I was going to check the attic, but nah. And they just like leave.
Really?
It's something like that.
It's a throwaway line?
Just like they do with the unlocked doors and windows.
Yeah, I don't think they ever lock anything.
It's almost like they catch themselves. They're like, if anybody asks any questions, we'll answer them now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We didn't know about locked doors and we didn't know about this and that.
Then they all just leave really
We're
suddenly.
Canadian.
We're Canadian.
Right. Well, right. I feel like they were definitely making some jokes about the locked doors with that, just because it's more common in the United States. But whatever.
I don't think anybody ever really caught on that though.
Well, not if you don't know that weird bit about Canadians.
The only reason I know about that is from Bowling for Columbine, the documentary with Michael Moore.
I know it's exactly the reason why I know it, so that's pretty funny.
So that's the only reason I know it.
That was such a weird documentary film.
It's a great documentary. But anyways, speaking about this being a Canadian film, it's like, I don't know. Is it really a thing they do and we just have to kind of, it just kind of
I have Canadian friends. Like I've asked them.
Our heads, you know what I mean? If you don't really think about it.
Yeah.
And but they make it a point though,
Well, I think that was more for like, so the killer had more access to the house.
Yeah, but it's also understandable if I guess.
Well, it's a sorority house too.
Exactly. But this movie was released with different titles in different places. So.
What was the other titles?
It was Silent Night, Evil Night. Okay. That was the American.
Did they use the
same?
That
was the American title.
It
wasn't Black Christmas here.
No. Well, because people are weird about horror films that have to do with Christmas time and comedy.
They called it Silent Night, Evil Night, but in Canada it was Black Christmas.
Black Christmas was one of the movies that my mother told me she couldn't watch ever again because of the girl that's in the rocking chair with the cellophane over her face and everything. Right. And so from her judgment, but she,
the whole movie.
Yeah, absolutely. But because of the reference point that she has, I believe that it was probably called Black Christmas wherever she saw it. So I don't know or was it like a different, are we talking like outside the U.S. it was called something different?
No, it was here.
It was here. Different. But then how would my mother, who has like never been outside,
Christmas,
who's never lived outside of it, would know it's Black Christmas then?
I don't know, man.
I'm schooling you right now.
Let's see.
Let's go.
He's about to go look it up is what's going to happen.
He's going to Google me.
Well, I think we've come to the end then for that movie. So what kind of ending did this have? Did you guys like it? It was kind of open, ambiguous. The killer's still in there.
Very the end, or is it?
Yeah. And it's early on, so this can be credited with like doing that type of ending.
Pretty sure she dies though.
Who? Jess?
Yes.
So look,
yeah, I guess it's safe to assume.
Black Christmas was released on October 11th, 1974.
Okay.
In Canada. And December 20th in the United States under the title Silent Night, Evil Night.
Damn.
Then I would say they did that because it was so close to Christmas. It was marketing.
Yeah.
That's why they did that.
Yeah. I mean, they don't want people to be like all paranoid on Christmas because they know how Americans are already.
Isn't that name still sort of like Christmas relevant though?
Yeah, it is. That's why it was
still
like
a Christmas.
I kind of just think that it really.
No, you know what it was?
What we were as a nation back then, man. That was some crazy shit. We can't even handle Black Christmas.
Well, yeah, because it was the 70s. They didn't want to say black in the title of the film.
Dude, that was like the height of like the black movies. Like it was like black, like.
No, that was the height of black exploitation movies, not necessarily people like good movies.
It wasn't a good thing, but it was.
You had like Black Dynamite and shit, which was terrible. But like
Shaft and all these things.
Fucking Shaft. That's so. I hate that movie, but
it was there. It happened.
That's fair. But I think that's why. I think definitely that's why they chose to rename it a different title. Yeah. They probably didn't do that. Well, so I think we should move over to The Final Girls because The Final Girls was sort of like a parody of all of the slasher films, and it's done much later. It was in 2015.
Awesome movie. I thought it was great. I thought it was amazing.
I love movies like this. It reminds me of stuff like Cabin in the Woods or Tucker and Dale versus Evil, and it was a hidden gem for me. I had to be told about this one after my harrowing adventure while watching Final Girl 2 times.
You didn't know about this movie until Percy and I told you about it, right?
No, not at all. Didn't even know it existed.
How about you, Isaac?
You know, I saw the trailer for it one time, and I thought it was cool because I remember about Cabin in the Woods, and I think that was about like 2 years before that. I think that was like a 2012 movie or something like that.
Okay.
But I remember seeing it and it reminded me of it, but I never saw it after that. I just kind of forgot about it. But this was during a phase where movies for me, there's so many of them coming out at once because there was all the Netflix stuff. There was like all the Hulu stuff.
You had streaming services.
And there was like, there's just so much stuff coming out. Like there's like, I got to watch Punisher. I got to watch Daredevil. You know what I mean? I got to do all these shows, and holy crap, I can't keep up with the little indie horror movies that come out. I can't look those up. I have all these crazy shit to deal with right now.
So are you watching more TV then?
I mean, I was at that point because there was these great shows on at that point. You know what I mean? Like I think there was some hardcore like Daredevil going on. There's some, I think Punisher just came out like around that time or something.
Well,
like that.
Punisher got released after Daredevil because he got introduced
was it like
in that
2015 though or something like that?
No, it was much later.
It was much later.
Yeah.
I remember I was watching Daredevil. To be honest, I wasn't really watching a whole lot of TV at this point. I was working a lot, and you know, TV was just something that I kind of wanted to revisit. I was watching older horror movies that I liked, or whatever. But yeah.
Well, so I wanted to just give some facts about The Final Girl. So it was released in 2015.
Yeah.
It was considered to be a slasher comedy film, which is obvious because there was a lot of funny moments in the movie. It wasn't meant to be taken seriously.
Awesome.
Mitch, you mentioned that it was sort of like it
was
parody,
like
right?
it started off kind of Groundhoggy, like Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Esque. There we go. Yeah. Groundhog Day esque. It started off like that, sort of where the van comes and they are perplexed by it, and it just drives on by. And then 92 minutes later, exactly, the same bus drives by with the same people in it, and they do the same thing, and then another 92 minutes. And so it shows that they're in like a revolving universe at this point, just a repeating universe.
Well, for the movie itself, like narratively, they were dropped into a movie. The movie that the main girl's mom was in, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's like probably one of the coolest narratives in the movie, too. It's super awesome.
I love that part that the mom was a B-movie actor.
Right. Well, she was like a scream queen. She was like one of the like original women to be in those movies, or at least in their universe. She was like known to be like an actress in one of those movies.
Yeah, and her daughter, Tasia, I think that's her name. Well, the actor's name.
Yeah, you're thinking of
Max. Her name is Max in the movie.
Yeah.
But so she is a scream queen nowadays because she was in American Horror Story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She got credited like the contemporary
so she's
version.
considered a scream queen now. Like she's literally considered a scream queen. She's been in other movies too. I didn't even realize that until I looked her up, and it was, you know, she's got all these other movies I totally remembered. But she's known as a scream queen now, and it's funny because we have like the mom is a scream queen when it's an actual like modern day scream queen.
Well, what's your definition of that? Because I know everyone has a different one.
I mean, it would be people like, you know, that have the iconic roles. It would be, you know, fucking Linda Blair. Linda Blair would be like a crazy, like,
that's a pretty good name.
You know, like it would be, I don't know, people that die often.
What was Linda Blair in?
The Exorcist.
So she was the main girl in The Exorcist?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's
I could not remember her name.
She's the little girl. She's the girl that gets possessed.
I wouldn't say then she was a scream queen then.
I mean, I guess it's because
usually
does that mean if you die, is that what that means when you die? Or I thought it was if you're just like some horror movie.
Well,
icon.
it's usually the girls who end up being the final girl.
Okay,
is usually the ones that they would label something like that.
A girl being the final girl would be Jamie Lee Curtis for sure.
Well, the final girl title was sort of something that was newer, and it came out of the idea that people didn't want to say scream queen anymore.
Yeah,
because that was originally created because of. It goes back to like older things about like why movies were made about watching women get murdered.
Yeah.
And so it was like this was made for like a male audience. You got to see women get murdered. You got to see them be like half naked while this was happening.
Yeah.
And so what they decided to call them was Scream Queen because they were screaming most of the time through the movies.
Yeah.
So they changed it to the Final Girl, which is a survivor really of the movie, as opposed to being naked half of the time and like not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
Like a good final girl is the movie You're Next, where she survives all the way to the end and like
Yes.
fights back against the
Yeah.
killers. So
Yeah.
like it kind of evolved in that
I
way.
mean, you got Halloween too. You
Oh,
got
yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah.
is a great scream girl.
Yeah. Well, I would say she's final girl.
She is final girl. I mean, she is definitely final girl, which is the best part of this whole movie because it just capitalizes on the whole idea of the final girl, and it's final girls. Like, and I mean, that's gonna be an emotional trip later on when we talk about that. But you know, it's an awesome movie. I love it.
Well, so Mitch, you mentioned sort of like off mic that it had sort of comparisons to Cabin in the Woods. How do you mean?
Well, I said that on mic too.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did. Oh, no, never mind. No, I did not. I said that I liked Cabin in the Woods also, but it reminded me of that a lot. But what it did that I dislike in some other horror movie parody movies, like I'll use like the Scary Movies as an example.
Yeah.
I don't really like their humor too much, and I don't think that they like pay respect to the art form. I think that they're just making fun of it.
Scary Movie was.
Scary Movies, like those,
Yeah.
like all of those. Yeah, Scary Movie 1, 2, 3, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And so, but when you watch something like The Final Girls or Tucker and Dale versus Evil or Cabin in the Woods, you can tell that the people who wrote that movie really like horror movies
Yeah.
or really enjoy them. And so we're playing off of like the typical things that happen in them while also, you know, paying like an homage, like while also being an homage to those movies as well. This one, Final Girls being an homage to, you know, Friday the 13th and a whole bunch of other, you know, horror movies that exist.
If I had one thing to say about, I mean, the comparisons of what movies we could compare this movie to as far as like its influences or whatever, you'd have to look at the campiness of it. It's very campy. You know, it's not taken seriously.
For people who don't know, what's campy?
Campy, I feel like, is a movie is a attitude you have in a movie. It's an attitude. It's that you don't take it seriously. You know that you're joking about it.
So like most B-list movies are campy.
Look at the movie Crybaby
Okay.
with Johnny Depp. That's a very campy movie.
That's
no one's taking that shit seriously at all. They're just doing it, but it's great, and they're doing it. And
So it's still
awesome.
enjoyable then.
It's enjoyable, which is what makes it campy.
Okay.
That's the whole point of it. You know, it's a fun attitude. Like, you know, when you meet his parents and they're just all just awesome about being shitty. That's very campy of them to be like, oh, hey, we're shitty, but it's great. You know, like it's awesome. And
So then for the Final Girls, what was your favorite scene then?
my favorite scene in that movie is probably one of the later scenes, which we'll probably talk about later, but
You can just get into it.
yeah, okay. Well, it's one of the later scenes where she decides to go out there and save her daughter and and let her be the last girl. That's probably my favorite scene.
Oh yeah, so the mom pretty much decides
to go out there and go topless and get murdered.
On the subject of campy, I just want to bring this up. I looked it up really quick for us.
There's an official definition.
Campy refers to intentionally exaggerated thematic or genre elements.
Exactly. Like they don't.
Exactly. Yeah, no, exactly. So what Isaac's saying, like they don't care, etc. But it's also just in the exaggeration
But
of
they're
it.
doing it. You know, they're going for it.
Use Evil Dead 2 as an example. Like all of Bruce Campbell's facial expressions and everything, and
Army of Darkness.
that
Evil Dead
is
is
campy.
extremely campy.
Is camp.
That is camp.
Yeah.
That is campfire.
All
Like,
of
oh my
the
God.
like trauma movies. You know, anybody here seen Surf Nazis Must Die?
No.
Dude, trauma
It's
is. I
the
have a
shit.
picture on my Instagram of me with Lloyd,
That's
the director of
fucking
Trauma.
awesome.
I have a
What is
picture.
this movie?
It's so he did the Toxic Avenger.
Oh,
he did
shit, I
Surf
should've known
Foxes
that.
Must Die.
Okay.
And he did
Tromeo and Juliet.
he did a Class of Nukem High,
Oh, I've not seen that one.
which is ridiculous. Go watch that movie if you like watching Nickelodeon shows. This is a Nickelodeon horror movie.
That was
There you
such
go.
a specific like
It's like
comparison.
slimy. It's slimy. You're getting slimed.
Wait,
That's what's
so
going
you
on
got
with this
slime
movie.
out of Nickelodeon then?
Dude, yeah, that was
I was trying to think of like what else can I associate with Nickelodeon
slime, dude. Slime.
besides slime.
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 It's all about the
All right.
slime.
Slime.
I'll turn off the mic so you keep saying slime. Yeah, see,
That's all I think about when I think about Nickelodeon. I think about slime.
that was such a weird reference. Anyway, digress. I don't know where we were at.
Well, we were talking about.
We were talking about the Final Girls.
The scene with her mom.
wait.
His favorite scene in Final Girls.
Wait, your favorite scene? Okay, so when the mom decides to kind of be a martyr, then to like let her daughter survive the whole ordeal, and then not be the final girl anymore. What about you, Mitch? What was your favorite scene?
There's a lot of good ones. I think the whole slow-mo bit was really awesome. I also really liked the attention to using the flashbacks. So like using the third, like, what is it? We're using like the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Like using the fourth wall to like outdo the enemy.
Oh yeah.
Because they go and they're just like, wait, induce a flashback. Start talking about Billy's past and everything, and then she starts talking, and then reversing back to a flashback, which puts the bad guy into a bad spot.
So the characters are then aware that they're in this sort of situation, so they are able to like control bits of it. So you get a strong breaking of the fourth wall with these characters.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Which is really cool for an audience that sort of already knows like the quote unquote rules of slasher films. They sort of bend those by being able to distract the killer by reversing time, or being like, we're gonna go into a flashback, and this will be what saves us for like a couple seconds till we figure out a plan to get out and do that. All right. Well, so it wasn't necessarily the Final Girls wasn't really like a gory film, was it?
No,
I wouldn't say it was.
You know,
sometimes
it has a little bit of gore. I feel Adam Devine getting killed and getting his chins like ripped out and just having his feet dangle around. That's kind of gory. You know.
Well, I'm thinking of both of them. The Black
people
Christmas
are getting
as well.
stabbed left and right. I mean, what's his name got a machete halfway through his body. That's.
I think maybe I just have a low gauge for it. Is what it was.
I mean,
desensitized.
No, I mean,
I've seen
I
too much.
understand what you're saying, though. I understand what you're saying. It could have been a lot bloodier, but it is also PG-13. It's a PG-13 movie.
It was?
Yeah, it's a PG-13.
I don't know why I thought that was rated R.
Also surprised me.
They must have pushed
They
boundaries
did not.
with it.
They did not say
They
fuck
pushed
that
a
much
lot.
in it.
They pushed a lot with this. They called somebody a fag in this movie, dude.
That's fucked up. Well, actually, you can only say fuck twice in an R-rated movie.
A PG-13 movie?
Or PG-13 movie, sorry.
Okay, I did not know that. And
I
then,
had no idea.
That's like an official rule.
I feel like the speaking of that, Isaac, I feel like the use of that word is to show like the time period gap, because they were looking at like an old movie from like the 70s and whatnot, and so it's to show like it's to sort of show that there was sexism in those movies at the time.
Oh, for sure.
They were not showing a movie of the 70s. They were showing a movie of the 80s, because that's totally a Jason ripoff.
Oh, damn.
Okay.
Damn.
First of all.
Damn.
Because Jason didn't really become Jason until later. He didn't become Jason until like the second movie.
Oh, now you get it.
No, but it's true. But it's true.
This is like one of those trivia questions where it's like, who was the real murderer of Friday the 13th?
But it was his mom. It was his mom.
Yeah.
But Jason, Friday the 13th 2 came out in like 82 or something like that later on, and obviously it was a whole different time then than it was back in the 70s or whatever. So this is a total 80s rip-off movie of an 80s camp. You know what I mean? Like this is 80s. 100% 80s. Even the music was 80s.
Oh,
Some
yeah.
of that music wasn't made until like 85.
Well,
So,
it was because they were focused on parodying the slasher films.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that was like
exactly.
the height of it, because
that was the height of the point. I know I'm being nitpicky asshole over here, but at the same time, it's like you got to look at that stuff too, because I'm pretty sure they looked at it too. They're making a movie.
I don't remember what the time period was set for the film in the universe of the Final Girls.
Think about it.
But I see where you're coming from, though, and so I got you.
That's that girl's mom, and she's very young, so it's probably from the 80s.
I feel like that was just a casting thing. Like, they didn't want to find like an old lady, so they just said it was her mom, even though their ages don't match up.
Because she's still kind of young. You know what I mean?
But if she was actually her mom, she wouldn't be that young.
No, she looks amazing.
So it's like, you know what I'm saying?
Way too amazing to me.
So in a way, they sort of did mess that up.
Maybe that's why.
But
she's
they
still
wanted
an
her.
actor.
They wanted that specific actress, though. I know that much for the movie. They had like approached her for it, and she definitely wanted to do it. So they wanted her specifically, and they wanted the younger girl as well, because she had already been in a bunch of stuff at that point. So yeah, so like what you mentioned before, she became known as sort of a contemporary actress for horror films, and so they wanted to have her in something like this, even though the film itself wasn't that popular. People didn't really like the Final Girls.
And I'm surprised by that because it's a great film. To be honest, like, if we go back to what you were talking about comparing films, I compare this film literally to Scream because that movie is all about dissecting a horror movie, and I compare it to like a Final Destination because what they do is not really up to them. It's a result of what they did to this world that they're in now. Like, they're in a movie now, so now their consequences are going to cause these reactions. That's why they killed the last girl that was supposed to be the last girl right away. You know what I mean? She died. So it was their cause and effect that caused everything to go to shit.
The game's already changed at that point for them.
You know what I mean? And that's a total Final Destination thing. It's like they cheated death. So now they have to deal with these things and they're going to fuck it up and people are going to die. Other people are going to die. And if they keep cheating it, other people are going to die. You know what I mean? I feel like it's almost like that. And it's also very Scream where it's like, hey, this is a horror movie. This is what it is. This girl can't die. These people can't do this. This can't do that. Blah, blah, blah.
Well,
but now they're actually in it.
Scream sort of did what the Final Girls did, where they made fun of things, or the characters did.
Exactly.
The two main dudes who ended up being the killers
Scream
in the film.
did it in the like more of a raw version where it just seems like a bunch of asshole teenagers.
Well, they didn't break the fourth wall is what they didn't do. They had the characters themselves do it through the writing. And so they were like, they had the two guys who were just making fun of it, where they're like, oh, you shouldn't go anywhere like alone. Just like the mentioning of the rules. They even mention it. They say the rules of horror films. So like they were doing a parody in a different way, or at least Wes Craven decided to do it that way. And it was good for the time period. And it had like the elements that you would see from older slasher films. So it had like one famous, like really famous actress, which was Drew Barrymore, who gets murdered, like first person who gets killed in the film. Scene. And then the actual movie starts. And then you get to see like the rest of them. So, it worked out that way.
Yeah, and what you were talking about is, that scene where it's pretty much he's got a party and they're watching a movie and he's like, this is what happens. Like, now watch this. See, she's not going to die. Like,
right.
And it's totally what's going on with the, first the Final Girls, because they know what it's about, even though they.
Well, okay. So really, I want to move towards closer to the end. Mitch, what did you think about the ending? Did you think it was good that the mom sort of like handed off being the final girl to her own daughter?
Yes. I thought that it was super well done. First off, they're playing the same song in the beginning of the movie as they are in the end when the mom dies. So they're in the car before they get in the car accident at the very beginning of the film. They're listening to the same song together as they are in the very end of the movie when she's on her way to go like basically accept her fate and die.
Okay. So like bookmarks.
Yeah, when she's ready to go flash death, she's ready to do it.
And I love that scene, by the way.
Yes.
That's amazing.
It was great.
That was an awesome
It was great. And it's playing the same song as she's walking over there, like when they're together and
so
stuff.
They then use the music as sort of bookends for like the beginning and then the end of the film. Mm-hmm. So you kind of knew at that point that something was going to happen because they used it for the accident at the beginning.
I also love how they wake up in the hospital afterwards and then they're just like, oh man, we're all alive. Yay, it's great. And they look out and then they see that, Billy has returned and they're just like, oh no, we're in like the way cooler movie, the sequel, and then it just ends that way, and it's so. It
was a good way to end it and leave it open if they wanted to try making a sequel. to that.
Yeah, they really wanted to. Yeah,
but it's good. It's good as a standalone film. I think they should have definitely left it like that. Right? They didn't need to add anymore. But so what I wanted to do then is sort of like wrap it up. But I want to ask you guys some questions before we go. So really, the question is, of all of the serial killers or like the villains of these slasher films, so we're talking like Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, who do you think is the most dangerous? We'll start with Mitch.
The most dangerous of all of those in particular?
No, it's anyone you can think of.
Any slasher?
Those are just like the classic ones.
Oh my God.
It could be like Pinhead. It.
See, no, not It either. No, I wouldn't say It either. No, you know what? I think Freddy's pretty gnarly. Just being able to attack people in their dreams is crazy. You can't let them sleep. Like you will die of horrible other things if you do not sleep. And if you have something that's so scary that you can't fall asleep, eventually you will. So you'll have to face it anyway. It's like an inescapable fate. I mean, I guess Jason's like that too, but really you only have to go to a camp.
Right. You have to be in a certain area.
And then you just have to be really unlucky if Michael Myers shows up. You know, it's just like you just have to roll really bad that day.
Right.
Bad hand, you know. Fuck.
So Freddy Krueger then.
Yeah, I would say is of the slashers that I can think of off the
Right.
top of my head right now, I'd say that one's probably the gnarliest one.
What about just overall like villains?
Like
Not slasher
as
movies.
good villains.
Yeah, I know it's much broader.
I mean, Jason's got a pretty. It's like okay, like an okay backstory. You know, it's sort of like it's just like I was a tortured soul and now I am murdering them. It's like he's like the Revenant. He's a Revenant basically. It's that whole thing. If I'm gonna get super nerdy about it, you know, he's a vengeful spirit.
I guess I felt like the Friday the 13th was like some weak ass writing, but I'm sure people will get pissed about that.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just like, you know, it set a precedent for new movies later, and that's why they're noteworthy. If I want to pull my metal knowledge, you know, like the early black metal stuff wasn't that great sounding. Nobody really thinks it was that great sounding, but it set a precedent for newer bands to make more interesting music later, using that.
Isaac looks upset.
I'm gonna.
We're about to fight right now.
No, I'm not gonna disagree with Mitch. I feel like he's totally right about, you know, Freddy Krueger being a completely just unstoppable force.
Well, then who's the one you would choose then?
To be honest, I'm gonna go with an outsider here. I'm gonna go with the Candyman.
Oh shit!
Because the Candyman is pretty crazy. He's like a malevolent force. You know what I mean?
Wait, was he actually supernatural or was he just like a killer?
Yeah, you got to summon him.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's more like he comes out with the ill deeds and all that sort of stuff, and it's just it hits kind of hard. Like it's not just I mean, yeah, that's more vicious. Someone going after the child of the people that wronged them and stuff like that.
Right.
But I feel like Candyman is more of the guy that comes up when you just least expect him.
Fun fact, Jordan Peele's going to remake that.
Yeah, I really hope he does a good job with it.
Oh, yeah, he's been fucking killing it with what he's making. Like,
and I can't wait for his Twilight Zone.
That shit it actually looks scary.
Next month.
Yeah.
Next
it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
It's going to happen.
I ended up choosing one of like the original three, I guess. I went with Michael Myers in the Halloween movies because in every single one he's shown to be unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like he literally, no one ever stops him. Even in the newer one, they like burn his ass to like in a basement, lock him in there, and he still like walks out of it. So like really, just nothing is gonna stop him in those movies.
Impenetrable.
Also, anyone who goes up against him doesn't usually fare well.
Oh, no,
like he like sticks a kid to the wall with a shotgun, just like not sharp at all, just like right to the door. That was like in like that movie, or like I think he chokes him out, and like it looks funny because it's like a rag doll that somebody obviously just grabs and crushes, and it's just the most awkward scene. Because you see the ragdoll and then it goes back to like the kid, like the prosthetics or whatever they decided to put in there. So
it looks like he just like squishes a pillow.
Yeah, exactly. It's like cotton, whatever's inside
and
of
they
it.
Put some Foley stuff over it.
Yo, no, that's exactly what they did with those.
Yeah.
All right. I asked Mitch last time about this, but Isaac, what was the first movie you remember watching in theaters?
In theaters?
Yeah.
This is actually gonna sound kind of weird. Because
speak close to the mic. I want to hear.
A lot of the movies that I saw when I was a kid, I usually fell asleep at.
Okay.
And I didn't see it until later. But the first movie I actually remember seeing the whole way through.
Yeah.
Was Gladiator.
Gladiator.
I saw that with my dad.
Okay.
And it was funny because it was one of those movies where we went to go see it because he really wanted to go see it.
Oh, I see.
And he was like, "Don't tell your mom that we're gonna go see Gladiator."
Yeah, because of all the violence.
Yeah, because of all the crazy shit that was about to happen. But I fucking love that movie. Like, holy shit, that was awesome. That was amazing. I saw someone get cut in half. Like, holy crap.
Oh yeah, that's right. The girl with the chariot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was so young, and I was like, "Dude, she just got cut in half right now by a chariot. That's amazing."
I love that. That's the standout scene for you.
Oh my god, that was my favorite part. That was the whole
Jesus.
movie. I would rewatch that like a bunch of times.
I've seen it a lot of times too.
It's so great.
My grandpa loves that movie. So
that
I
scene
watched
is just always hits me so hard though. They're just having that crazy fight. There's chariots going around and boom, someone just gets cut in half. Like, holy shit, this is fucking crazy.
I appreciated that movie for Joaquin Phoenix for being that villain in the movie?
He was terrible.
Yeah.
In that movie. I mean, no, he was great.
No,
but
yeah,
he
he's
was
a terrible person. Yeah. All right, Mitch, I'll ask you a variation of the question. What's the last movie you saw in theaters?
Oh my God. Can I have like a moment?
Yeah, think about it.
Give me.
Because I haven't been to the theater in a while myself.
It's been a while. I think I'm gonna sound like such a fanboy when I say I think Alien Covenant might have been the last movie I saw in theater. Almost. No. One of the probably maybe one of the Avenger movies, one of the superhero movies that came out recently.
What's that?
Oh yeah, Infinity War. I think might have been maybe the last one I saw in theaters.
I didn't like that movie.
Well, that's I guess that's your opinion. if you whether or not you enjoy a movie or not is entirely inconsequential to me. Anyway.
No, I'll tell you why I didn't like the movie. I didn't like the movie because they made Thanos seem like the bad guy.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm not even gonna get into it.
No. That's totally fine. I totally get it. The best villains are usually right.
Yeah, we have a Thanos sympathizer over here.
Yeah, I know. It looks like we're gonna.
Right.
I don't know.
We'll get into it another time.
Yeah, another time. Yeah, we'll start. We'll have like a bringing down the Grindhouse does Marvel.
Well, I think we've reached the end of it then. At this point, we've been talking for like an hour and a half about horror films and what we're getting mad about.
And our moms.
Yeah. I'm really gonna do that. I'm gonna ask my mom.
Yeah, I will also send her a message and ask her if she wants to come on and talk into a microphone about her horror movie experience.
What if it just turns into them like talking about shit without us?
Dude, my mom will get in depth about shit. If you let her, she'll talk I sometimes, if she ever hears this, I sometimes just put down the phone and let her talk because sometimes it's really bad. Like sometimes if she's just going off about stuff that I've already heard her talk about 10 times already in the same conversation, eventually I'm just like, okay, I've already.
She doesn't do any like check-ins. She just keeps going.
Sometimes.
Because my mom is the kind of person who will stop. To, like,
I don't think we can put this part in the special now because now I can't invite her if I put this down.
I'll cut out just your part. We'll skip right to this. So
yeah,
thanks for coming on to the show, guys. No, really, I appreciate Isaac coming on really last minute. We literally asked you like yesterday if you could come on because my other co-host could not make it for the night. And I appreciate Mitch, who's going to commit to showing up pretty much every week, I think. Yeah? You going to just come weekly? Keep doing this?
Yeah, hell yeah. What the fuck? Yes.
And I appreciate all of you guys listening in and keeping up with the show because we're definitely going to be back and doing this as often as possible. So thanks for listening. I hope you guys have a good night.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for listening.
Yes, have a good night.